Maybe closing the eyes. Begin to turn your attention inward. And begin to take several rounds of conscious, deep breath. This breath is helping to make that transition into this body, to this very moment in time. Begin to notice now just how you feel. If there's any sort of sensation of heaviness, tightness, no matter where it is in the body, in the mind, or around the heart, just simply begin to breathe into those spaces. And allow for the touch of breath to come and linger in all those parts. It's helping to let go whatever is within your reach in this moment. Now bring your attention to your breath. It's moving in through the nostrils, filling the spaces of body, and moving back out. Letting your awareness, your conscious awareness, ride this wave of breath. Moving in and moving back out. Letting this breath be a main anchor, like a focal point for this practice, not just now here centering, but even throughout the practice or throughout the rest of your night. If you remember, try and harness this breath, this focal point, which will allow for the mind to simply relax and eventually release any lingering thoughts or pestering thoughts, concerns of the future. The mind being perhaps really congested right now due to the different energies around the holidays. This breath is always accessible to you to help keep you centered in this moment. Then begin to deepen your inhalations. Really fill spaces of the body. Fill up with air. Let it go out through your mouth. Exhale it all out with a hard. It's got a nice cleansing exhale. 2 more rounds, just like that. Full body inhale. In through your nose. And release it out through your mouth. One more time. Deep inhale. Open the mouth. Just let it go. You continue to breathe and eventually let it be as if this breath begins to open the eyes. Begins to create a gentle inner lift up through your spine. Softly gazing down and forward, continue to breathe and just extend your legs out in front. And give them a little shake, just a gentle shake. Continue to sit nice and tall. Shaking it out from the hip joints. Good. Then very slowly, bend at both knees and lower them over to one side. Doesn't matter which side you're on. Just go slow and be mindful of the knees. Don't force or push any postures. If you need to pad The knee that's on top, you can. You're going to allow the pelvis and the hips to slightly rotate with the legs, and the legs lower down. Don't resist that rotation. Keep the lower back and pelvis stable and safe by allowing it that subtle move, subtle rotation. And then from here, let's bring the palms together to the arm, to the heart. Move into a gentle spinal twist. When you're ready, deeply inhale, lengthen and stretch through the sides of the waist and the ribs. With an exhale, slowly turn the chest to the opposite side. So the leg on top, you're twisting towards the top leg. Gentle spinal twist. Really twist, just work to energize the spine, begins to lubricate the vertebrae in the spine. Twists usually come from the base of your spine all the way up through the back of your neck. But only if that feels right. You can begin to look back over the shoulder if it feels okay on the neck, which will engage the cervical spine. And if it's too much for the neck, simply keep your chin center with your chest. You still receive all of the nutrients moving through the back body without torquing the neck. Take 2 more breaths here. Remember, focus on that breath. Watch it move in through the nostrils into the body. Watch it move back out. One more. And at the end of your exhale, just simply release, rotate it back to a neutral. And go really slow, lift the legs. Take your time to lower them to the opposite side. Allow the pelvis and the hips to rotate as you move the knees down. And then bring your palms together to the heart. When you're ready, take a deep inhale. Stretch and lengthen up through the sides of your waist, up through the spine, and then exhale, twist to the opposite side. It might not feel like you're twisting a whole lot, but you are. Enough to, the lumbar spine really doesn't have a whole lot of rotation available to it anyways, but it's a really small rotation. The thoracic spine has more ability to rotate, yes, so you feel it a little bit more in the upper back. Wherever you are, breathe. If it's okay with your neck, perhaps looking back over the shoulder. Using that deep breath, watching how it moves into the nostrils and into the body. Perhaps now direct it into the legs and hips and any other parts that are feeling some sensation from this posture. One more round of breath. And at the end of your exhale, just release, come back to a neutral. And then slowly lift the legs. Bring the feet about hips width apart. I'm going to move, just turn to my side so you can see the movement in my back body for the seated cat-cow. Bring the hands to the front of the knees or the shins. Before we start moving, we're going to practice, we'll tap into the 3-part breathing, the 3-part breath. And it's interesting to do it here because as we inhale into the belly first, you'll feel the expansion of belly against your thighs. So now, kind of using your thighs as a guide for your breath, making sure you breathe into the belly because you want to feel it press against the legs. Right? So when you're ready, deeply inhale into the low belly, the ribs, upper chest, and then exhale, relax the chest, the ribs, and the belly. Right, again, inhale, expands the belly, pressing it against the thighs, expands the ribs, and exhale, relaxing in reverse. Press all the air out of the body. Just one more, just to get accustomed to this posture with this breath. Now we'll add movement of your cat-cow when you're ready. Inhale into the belly, ribs, lift up through the chest. Exhale out through the chest. The ribs begin to pull away and round it out. Round the spine. Exhale it out. Inhale, belly, ribs, lift up through the chest. Exhale, relax the chest, round the spine. Maybe drop your head down as you completely exhale it out. Good. Moving at your own pace, slow it down. You focus on that breath as it moves into these three main diaphragms of body, helping to regulate the nervous system. Also optimizing pressure, and that's what this breath most importantly does. It brings some more equilibrium to the various systems of the body that kind of function optimally on pressure. A couple more. Deep inhale into the belly, into the ribs, lifting up through the chest. Exhale, round it out. Just one more. And then with your next inhale, lift up through the chest. Relax the shoulders back and down. Rotate it out through the shoulders again. Back and down. And go in the opposite direction, lubricating the shoulder joints a little bit. Good. Now, I'm going to grab a block and a ball. If you don't have a block, you can use maybe find a shoebox or a thick book, or just kind of compromise. Blocks really help for this. We're working out a little bit of the thighs for myofascial release. And if you don't have a single ball, you can just use your ball noodle. We'll just isolate one of the balls from your ball noodle. Well, the block, I'm going to just turn a little bit so you can see. I'm starting on my left leg. Block's going to go right underneath the thigh. Just relax the right leg down, or maybe straighten the right leg out, whatever feels better. And then place your ball right on top of the block. Kind of align it under the upper to mid thigh, targeting the hamstring on that left leg. Okay. Some of you might have done this with me before. Straighten out and begin to apply a little bit of pressure right on top of the ball. And just breathe. So there is no wrong or right here, as you're familiar with myofascial release. It's very explorative. The objective is compression, to compress and pressurize the fascia tissue, that connective tissue, so that the layers perhaps that might be sticking together really receive water and blood through it so that they can release an energy, move into other muscles and other parts of the leg, and maybe even down to the foot. So if it feels right, begin to sway the leg slightly to the left, to the right, and the movement can be very subtle, especially if it's intense for you here, so just go slow. Self-massaging the ball into the mid-upper hamstring. And breathe. We won't be here for too long. Remember to send your breath into that leg and into other parts of the body that might be feeling, restricted, tight. Maybe it's that hip muscle having to work a little bit more. Maybe it's the abdominals because we're using some core strength to sit up. You can also use a wall to help out. And we continue to breathe with a deep inhale into the belly, ribs, upper chest. Then exhale it out in reverse through the chest, ribs and the belly. And then I'm going to target more of the inner thigh. So begin to rotate the left leg inward. Maybe even turn the left toes inward. You can also move the block over a little bit, maybe rotate the block. Lean forward slightly, explore more pressure. You do want to feel something. You can use, the weight of your body and the movement of gravity to pressurize. So there's some key muscles there on the inner thigh that when they're strained or tight, we'll start to pull on the kneecap, contribute to acute or chronic conditions in the knee, the instability of your knee. So apply some pressure and breathe. If you want to move the leg around, you can. Self-massage a little bit of that inner thigh, which is technically part of the quadricep group. Some muscles there. Let's take a couple more breaths here. And then release. Neutralize the leg. Just relax for a moment. Just shake it out. We're going to do one more position for the hamstring and the inner quadriceps. And that's going to be more towards the knee. So again, align your block with your tennis ball or your ball noodle. Obviously, you can use your noodle too. And if you did have a big toy ball, just in case you're really sensitive, it's worth to go buy one of these inflatable balls for sure. But they work really great too. And since they're bigger, they're easier to use without blocks. Since tennis balls are small, the blocks are good. So now you're more towards the knee, the back side of the knee. Just be mindful here, it can be really sensitive. It's the same idea. Lean forward a little bit. Find a good position where you feel something, apply some pressure, and just begin to breathe. Then you're going to take a couple minutes to find a good spot. And once you do, just be with it. Notice the sensation without really trying to judge or analyze what's going on. Where is that intensity coming from? Just be with it. There's an inner sense of knowingness when you do this practice more and more, that all these sensations are always shifting, and you're going to be almost hypersensitive to everything going on in the body eventually, on and off the mat. And that's a good thing. That's where we want to be, at a very heightened level of that interoception. It's our ability to perceive different signals from the body and tend to them, to take care of the body before it becomes a painful condition, something worse. So be with the sensation and use your breath as a guide. If you find you're holding your breath, then you might want to back off a little. You can pad the ball with a blanket, take a break. Yeah. You just come back to it. And maybe to explore further, you can move the legs slightly to the left and right. Really slow. The slower the movement, the better. You can begin to rotate the leg inward. Maybe pause and apply pressure. Eventually, you can use your hands to move the ball towards the inside of the thigh. And rotate the leg inward, apply more pressure. But this is an intense little place there, just to the inside. Um, so do the best you can to breathe it out. And we'll take about 5 more rounds of breath. Whether you're moving the leg a little bit and exploring, massaging, or just being still and focusing on your breath and the sensations of the compression. Wherever you are, you're in the right place. Stay with your breath. And you are welcome to stay here with the ball. If you need a little bit more of a release there, it feels good. You found a good hot spot, or you can move on. We're going to work one position on the calf. You're going to place the ball and your block, of course, if you're using a block, just below the meatiest, fleshiest part of the calf muscle, which is usually a little bit more towards the knee. Yes, we're not under the knee directly. We're targeting the calf, the meaty, fleshy area. So directly on top of it. And then breathe. And then for this part of the leg, and everyone's different, you can move a little bit more. And also sort of use some of your muscular strength in your leg to apply more pressure as you move. Applying more pressure will also kind of keep the ball from rolling out from under your leg too. So we kind of have to here, right? Self-massage, gentle, small movements, and slightly more pressure down here. Breathe. Rotate the leg now towards the outer parts of your hip joint. So externally rotate and internally rotate. It's another way to explore both sides of the calf. It's often a neglected area. Calf muscles, though, I mean, they work to obviously help protect the knee. So if there's congestion, tightness in the calf muscle, it will begin to pull on the knee. Pull it down, up, to the left or to the right, contributing to the misalignment of the joint. Most cases of knee pain are due to misalignment. So we're just opening up this tissue. It can be intense too, especially if you have never really worked on this part of the leg too much. It can be thick. Just a couple more rounds of breath here will do a lot for it to help release some energy that could have been blocked. Moving into the feet. You might feel tingling, moving up into the leg. Good. Then with your next exhale, release. Just move the ball and block off to the side. Shake out the legs. Let's take a moment to pause. Maybe close your eyes if that helps turn your attention a little more inward and to notice any differences on each side of the leg between the right or left. Check in. Deeply inhale into the belly, the ribs, the chest. Exhale it out. And now we're going to do the opposite side. So set yourself up. We're just going to turn so you can see. In the opposite leg, starting at the upper to mid part of your hamstring. You take your time and find a position. It doesn't have to be perfect. All that really matters is that we're applying pressure, looking for that compression. And so, yes, you can also use foam rollers on hamstrings, on the thigh muscles. The ball is smaller, so it tends to offer you a little bit more feedback, sensory feedback, because it can really target individual tissue layers. You get in between clusters of tissue that might be stuck together a little bit easier than a foam roller could. But nowadays, there are a lot of different myofascial release tools. The cheapest ones are tennis balls. So I always use these because they're very accessible to everyone. Affordable, so allowing you to really focus on the healing process without having to worry about spending a whole lot of money. Does the same thing. So breathe. If there's any movement automatically starting in your leg, go with it. So the body instinctively knows how to heal itself. It's looking for a release, right? What feels good? Maybe it's moving left to right, forward and down. And if you're not feeling enough, if you're not feeling anything at all, move the ball around until you do. If you have a lot of arm strength and really need to go deeper today, you can absolutely lift the buttocks off of the floor, and that will apply a lot more pressure on top of the ball. So there's all options to remember when you do this practice on your own, especially if you need to focus on the healing and health of your knees and hips. I would encourage you to do this a few times a week, if not every day, and it might just be for 5 or 10 minutes. Now when you're ready, we're going to move down. It's lower to the knee, but not directly under the knee. It's the lower part of your hamstring. And here, be a little bit less pressure. So very slowly begin to lean forward. If you need more pressure, just be mindful and breathe. Remember your breath. Soft, slow movements, if that feels right. Breaking up the tissue. Eventually make your way towards the inner thigh, if you haven't already. Maybe you already kind of start feeling that that's where more your work is, towards the inner thighs, those hip adductors. And if you are in the inner thigh, you can rotate the leg inward, maybe turn the toes inward. Breathe. You want to relax other parts of the body that might feel like they're clenching or clasping or grasping, maybe the toes, the jaw, the hands. Staying soft in the face, neck, and shoulders. Just taking a few more deep breaths here and let it go. And then if you have more work to do here on the hamstring and inner thigh, of course, stay there. Or if you're ready, go down to the calf, the meaty part, the upper part of the calf. And just offer yourself some stillness. It might feel really good. You might have found one of those sweet spots where there's enough pressure, there's enough energetic movement that you might be actually feeling into the feet or the ankle, in your knee. Stay with that sensation, stay with this experience. Your breath, focusing on your breath and how it moves into your body and perhaps automatically moves into the space of pressure and release. Allowing the leg to move if it wants to. There is no wrong or right. Stay with your breath. Experiencing whatever comes up. Many healers believe that the legs are like a timeline of our childhood. So they really hold and correspond with the experiences of when we were children. The area of the ankles is the time when you were born. Between the ankles and the knees, so the calf area would be when you're a child. And the knee area is when you're a preteen. And then the thigh would be up until like 18 when you're an adult and you leave home. So it's interesting that the belief is one side, which is if you're working on your right side like I am now, corresponds with that masculine energy. So it relates to all your experiences with your father growing up. And if there are any sort of unresolved actions that you had with your father, it can manifest in these various parts of your legs, depending on how old you are when it happens. The left side, left leg is your mom. That's your feminine energy side, so it relates to your experiences with your mother. And it's really interesting. And again, the timeline, the age, at what age certain events happens with your parents. Okay, a couple more breaths. Letting it go, whatever's here for whatever reason, could be tension held since you were a child, contributing to the current patterns that have formed. Take one more deep inhale. And exhale it out. All right, done. For now, let's move the block and ball off to the side. Shake out your legs. Good. And point and flex the feet a couple times. Rotate the ankles around. Separate the legs about hips width apart and softly bend the knees and flex the toes towards you. We move into a gentle forward fold. Grow tall, so find your inner lift. Reach the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. Bring the palms towards the heart and inhale nice and deeply. Lift the arms, lengthen and extend up through the spine. And with an exhale, hinge at the hips. Lower the arms and keep the back flat. Feel your belly touch against the thighs. When the body meets resistance, when you just automatically stop folding with a flat back, pause there. And then if you have room, use your breath Just straighten the legs a little bit more, yet don't lock the knees. Keep a soft bend in the knees. You got it. Release the shoulders back and down. Breathe. Breathing to and from the heart center. Into the legs. Staying neutral in the back body. One more breath. And as you exhale, slowly lift, lifting up through the chest, then bringing the shoulders back over the hips. Okay. Shake out the legs. All right. And so now, you're going to make your way nice and slowly onto your knees. You won't be here for too long, and if you have any pain in your knees, just be mindful, use extra blankets, or just don't do the posture at all. I'm just going to move into tabletop. We won't be here for long, so if you want to bypass it, please do. You can take a seat. If there's pain in your knees, the last thing you want to do is be on your knees and applying more pressure, especially if there's any inflammation. So you can just take a seated position if that's the case and do some seated cat-cows. But if you are in a tabletop, shoulders over the elbows, hips align over the knees, and with an inhale, relax the belly down, draw the chest forward and the shoulders back. Then exhale, round it out, just like we did when we were sitting. Drop your head and now press away from the floor. So let the breath drive the movement. If it feels right, close the eyes. Experiencing movement from the inside out. Not worried about the outcome or what it looks like. Just one more round. Exhale, come back to neutral wherever you are. And then from here, very slowly, step the right foot forward. If you have blocks, use your blocks. We're going to move in different phases up into a lunge. So now we're starting to apply more weight-bearing pressure on the joints, the knee joint and the hip joint to strengthen the muscles that will support stability of those joints. Scoot the right toes forward. Just make sure the knee is either over the ankle or slightly behind it. Use your blocks. Extend the spine forward. And then lift the left knee. Keep a soft bend in the left knee, that back knee, as much as you need to. Try to bring the blocks up directly under the shoulders. Wiggle the right toes. You want to keep the toes soft and then lower them down, grounding down through the balls and heel of the front foot. Breathe here. Feel the connection between all four corners of that right foot with the floor. Before we move on, we want to establish that anchor, that connection here in the front foot. You may already feel the quads, the hamstrings, and the inner thigh of the right leg really engaging, strengthening. Stay here and breathe. And begin to send your gaze forward and up. Now you can stay here for a few more breaths if it feels right. Or bring one hand to the top of the thigh, then the other. Ground down through that front foot and lift the chest. Lift straight up. Bringing the shoulders over the hips. Remember, keep a soft bend in that back knee. And press down evenly through all four corners of the front foot. And breathe. Tuck the tailbone in. You'll feel a deep stretch down the left side, the hip flexor on the left side as well. Hold it here, maybe hands to the hips. And the next phase is optional too. Sweep the arms forward and up. Turn the palms inward and relax the shoulder blades down. It's usually a little more challenging when you move into a high lunge this slowly. So I want you to feel every little sensation of every phase. Just take a couple more breaths wherever you are. Keep breathing deep into your belly, to your ribs and upper chest. Breathing it out in reverse. With your arms were lifted in the air or on your hips, lower them to your blocks. Just the same way we came into the pose, we'll come back out. Lower the left knee to the floor. Take your time to find tabletop. Or again, if there's pain in your knees, just to take a break in a seated position. Wherever you are, just notice, just take a moment to check in, catch the breath. Good thing we have two sides, right? So now, let's see what's going on the other side. So take your time, step your left foot up. Maybe using your blocks, again, wonderful props. And set yourself up, again, first for your low lunge. And keeping that knee on the floor, but if it's, if it's in pain, you can automatically lift it up. Wherever you are, keep breathing. Find your alignment with the knee over the ankle or slightly behind it. Use your next inhale to extend the spine forward. Exhale. Soften the back body. We're looking for extension before we move on. And then wiggle the toes. And root down through the balls and heel of the left foot. Grounding down through all four corners of the foot. Establishing that connection first and foremost, and you'll feel already the muscles engage as you gently press down through the foot. Moving on, keep breathing. If you haven't already, lift the right knee off the floor. Good. Next phase. Keep breathing and pressing down through the left foot. Bring one hand to the top of the thigh, then the other. Lift the chest. Continue to breathe. Tuck the tailbone in if you are lifted up. Maybe the hands come to the hips. Helps with balance. Use your core, activating core and activating breath. You're in the right place. Stay with it. The next phase is to bring the hands all the way up, reaching up to the sky, turning the palms in. Relax the shoulder blades down. Breathe. Let it shake. Stay with it. Couple more breaths no matter where you are. Keep lifting through your chest, especially if the arms are reaching up. One more breath. And with an exhale, release. The same way we came into the pose, come back out. Hands to the blocks, lower the knee, right knee to the floor. And then take your time, move back into a tabletop or a child's pose with the knees separated wide, and the big toes touching. But again, be mindful of your knees. If child's pose is intense or painful, You can actually just lie down on your back because we're going there next. Wherever you are, full deep body breath. Notice what you notice. It's not unusual to experience new tension patterns after doing ball work on one part of the body. As you know, that myofascial release opens up energy floodgates, which can allow sensational feedback that might have been suppressed in other parts of the body to now surface. You just notice. And then very slowly make your way, if you're not there already, onto your back. You can use a blanket under your head or under the hips if that feels good. Separate the feet, hips width apart. Constructive resting pose. Point the toes forward, wiggle the toes again, and then ground down through the balls and heels of the feet. Allow the sacrum and the hips to get heavy to the floor. Find your full 3-part breath. You can exaggerate now that expansion of the belly, the ribs, expanding on all sides as you inhale. And the softening of the heart, spine as you exhale. Perhaps feeling a bit more grounded and heavy. Working on this part of the body tends to open up or rebalance, I shouldn't say open up, but also brings balance back to that lower root energy center. It's all about our need for feeling grounded and stable. Survival. With an inhale, draw the right knee in towards the body. As you exhale, straighten the left leg, flex the toes, press the left heel forward. With an inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, begin to shift the left leg, just like a pendulum, to the left and right. Now keep breathing. And it could be small movements back and forth. Try and stay grounded evenly across the backside of your hips. Notice the inner thighs working. Lower deep abdominals working. Good. One more breath. And then release the leg, relax. Inhale, straighten the right leg up towards the sky. Interlace the hands behind the hamstring. Keep a soft bend in the knee. And if it feels right, you can gently draw the leg in, not just the knee, but the leg. So you can bend that at the right knee as much as you need to. So really just stretching the hamstring, yeah. And then release. Lower the right foot. Plant both feet, hips width apart. Deeply inhale in through your nose. Exhale out through the mouth. With an inhale, hug the left knee in. And just go slow. Exhale, straighten the right leg. And slow flex the foot back. With an inhale, as you're ready, lift your right leg up. Let it hover. Pressing the heel forward. Really energizing through the entire right side of your body. And then begin to shift the leg back and forth. And keep breathing. Maybe even keep your eyes closed. Notice your little muscular effort along the right leg, into the hip and abdomen, and even the lower back. You got it. Couple more breaths. Slowing it down. And then as you exhale, release the leg, relax. Inhale to straighten, just extend, I shouldn't say straighten. Extend the left leg up. And interlace the fingers behind the hamstring. Breathe deep. And if it's available to you, begin to draw the left leg in towards you, in towards the chest. If that means bending the knee a little bit more, please do so. Honor what the body kind of naturally does. Still feel a nice stretch down the hamstring. Even those external hip rotator muscles, gluteal muscle groups. One more breath. And then release. Lower the foot to the floor. Plant both feet, hips width apart. Deep inhale into the belly, into the ribs, into the upper chest. Then exhale it out in reverse. Separate the feet wider than your hips. Inhale, deepen through your nose. Exhale it out through your mouth and lower the knees over to the left. The similar position that we did at the beginning of class, except now we're lying down. Just be mindful of the knees. When the body meets resistance, just pause there. And try not to force or push into this posture. Just one more breath. With an exhale, use your abdominal strength to bring the knees back to center. Deep inhale into your belly, rib cage, upper chest. Exhale, lower the knees to the right side, the opposite side. Full body breathing. Letting it go. With your next exhale, engage abdominals and bring the knees back to center. Walk the feet in, keep breathing. Bring the feet to touch. Begin to gently rock the knees left to right. However, when you do so, keep the sacrum, the flat part of your lower back, glued down to the floor. Heavy in the lower back. Then come back to neutral. Hug the knees into your chest. Take an inhale here. And as you exhale, begin to circle, make large circles with the knees. Use your hands to guide them. Go in the opposite direction. And then come back to neutral. Lower the feet down. Almost there. Surprise last minute posture with the ball, noodle, or your ball. You do one hip at a time. So if you just have one ball, place one ball underneath the left buttock, the left butt cheek. If you have a noodle, maybe just one or two balls. Use your feet to support the hips and pelvis. And breathe. Breathe in the sensation, the pressure. Breathe out, letting go. Letting go of all those tension patterns or tightness or feelings of stress and heaviness, whatever it is. Let it go, do the best you can. Just be in this moment with sensation that has something valuable to offer. Automatically releasing all those things, even those thoughts that linger, not serving your system, letting those things go. And then from here, so I'm on my left side, cross the left ankle on top of the right thigh. No matter what side you're on, where the side that the balls are underneath, cross over. So that leg will be on top. And then slightly begin to rotate the legs down to the left, down towards the balls. Now pressurizing the outer edges of the hip. You got it. A couple more breaths here. And then slowly bring the legs back to neutral. Take your time. Plant both feet down, hips width apart. And switch sides. Go slow. So now placing your ball or one or two balls from your ball noodle underneath the right butt cheek. Opposite side that you didn't do. Use both feet to find that sort of symmetrical stability in your breath. And then, if it feels right, go very slow, cross the right ankle over the left thigh. And you can stay here, of course. Stay with your breath. Remember, the breath is still your guide. If you can move on, begin to lower the legs to the right, just applying more pressure on top of the balls towards the outer edge of the right hip. You got it. Take about 2 to 3 more rounds of breath here. Moving that breath energy, that life force energy in, around, and through all these spaces of the hip, the knee, the leg. And then slowly come back to a neutral position. Plant both feet to the floor. Remove the balls. Done. Straighten your legs. Shake them out. Inhale deeply in through your nose. And pause at the top. Hold it in. Take another small sip of air in. And then open your mouth and release it all out. Let it go. Closing the eyes, take rest. Now giving yourself permission to just surrender to this space. Being fully aware and honorable for the sense of grace and ease that is always available to you. Sensation of neutrality and acceptance, place for pure conscious being, where there is always wholeness, compassion, peace. Stay resting for as long as you need to. Maybe eventually rolling over and gently pressing yourself up. Wherever you are, move slow. Thank you for sharing that energy of